You're listening to Sips of Sanity, your toolkit for emotional and intuitive intelligence, or what we like to call the dirty work. Let's do it.
Welcome to Wednesday, and today's law is perfection.
Oh shit, it is hard. Sorry, guys.
Well, I guess it's going to depend on their personality, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to start by reading a little thing that Dan Millman wrote at the very beginning about the universal law of perfection. He wrote, "From a transcendental perspective, everyone and everything is unconditionally perfect. From a conventional viewpoint, perfection doesn't exist. Excellence is the best we can achieve, and achieving it takes time and practice." Now, I
disagree.
Yeah, I know. I read that and thought, oh boy, this is going to bring up some really interesting conversation in this chat. Go on.
Yeah, you're right. Because the first part of the quote where they're saying that everything and everyone is by nature perfect. I can accept that, right? As you are, perfection is not the point. You are what you are, right?
Yeah.
Then we look at the conventional, and that's the part that I'm disagreeing with, because practice, and this is another really beautiful quote that's in contradiction with this. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes progress, and that's what we're searching for, right? If we're aiming for progress, then sure, engage in practice, because improvement is what we want to achieve. Perfection it's a moving target.
That is something he sort of says in the rest of the universal law, which I find really interesting because the way that he writes it, it's almost like he's in his own conflict about this law.
And that's why I'm saying the definition of perfect keeps moving. So in one sentence, when you're writing about it, you can think you're very clear about what perfect looks like, and then it shifts.
Yeah.
Right. And in the next sentence, it does look like a contradiction. Yeah. So I think this is messy.
And this is why I picked perfection as one of our laws, because it is messy, because it's a viewpoint. Mm-hmm. And that sometimes it's the viewpoint of another person.
Well, I'm just going to interrupt you and say that let's change the word viewpoint to subjective.
Okay.
Because subjective means always changing, whether it's you versus me or me right now versus me in 10 minutes.
Right. Love that. Kel, one of the points that he makes in here too is that the universe's opinion of perfection and ours are different. And this is something I see quite often in treatments, and I guess maybe my own life, is that, I should say, and in my own life, is that this is where people get really stuck sometimes, in that we're not willing to accept that the universe's idea of perfection is really, it's the bottom line, actually, and that we can't necessarily fight with it, and sometimes we get stuck in that. We get stuck in that place of really going at something in that we want to be perfect for us. And we can't understand that the person, and I'll give an example, died at 5 years old or 10 years old instead of 95 years old. Mm-hmm. Because the ideal of a perfect life is an old life. Mm-hmm. And the universe is saying, no, our idea for Bob was 5 years old. And Bob did really well till 5. He did great. And that's good enough for us. That's perfect for us. And our version of that is, he was 5. You got to be fucking kidding me. Mm-hmm. And so we cannot be in agreement. And I think this is something that's really important to point out today, is that we have to be able to accept that whole concept that you and I are going back and forth agreeing about, mm-hmm. that it is always a moving target. And that if we really hunker down and really try and get into things have to be perfect, as Dr. Margaret Rutherford would say, we're going to just head straight into a depression. Mm-hmm. We're going to head straight into anxiety and control issues.
Correct. And when we look at the idea of perfection, what you're talking about is soul contracts, right? So we've done Coffee with the Starlows on this multiple times, that what was written into someone's soul contract was 2 divorces. And that perfection for that soul is 2 divorces and a 3rd marriage. And to an onlooker, a human onlooker, you might say they've failed at least twice and maybe on the path to failure again. But the universe would go, checked all the boxes. Well done. Keep going, right? You're right on track. And like you said, dying at 5 versus 95 might have been right on track for that soul contract. So our arrogant argument with perfection is just, like you said, never the bottom line.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, and I mean, fuck, I could speak to this universal law all day as an Enneagram 1, where my goal, my unconscious motivator is improvement, right? And if I'm unhealthy about it, yeah, perfection and my human arrogant version of perfection is what I aim for. And you're subject to the unhealthy part all the time, where I want to perfect language. I want to perfect a presentation of something. But if we think about that, maybe part of that contract was just delivering a beautiful message in a messy way, that was actually the universe's way of perfecting what we were set out to do.
I like what you're saying. So you're saying that some of the Enneagram numbers would struggle a little bit more than other numbers.
100%.
Because that is not their unconscious motivator.
Yeah, and struggle with it in different ways. I mean, as a 1, it's always about improving, always. But it's about doing it with integrity. It's about doing it the right way in a good, healthy process. Someone in an Enneagram 3, perfection is getting it done and doing it first. Not that it's done necessarily with integrity, not even necessarily that it's done well. It's just done.
Right.
Perfection to a 4 is going to be about self-expression in the process itself. And that it's not perfect if there isn't symbolically me in it. Right?
Which is then going to put people in conflict with each other.
Absolutely. And then you think about the fucking 7 walking in and going, well, it wasn't fun. Perfect to me is having fun. And it's like, oh my God. Right? So, and the universe is like, wow, guys, really missing the mark here.
So we basically have, if you understand anything about the Enneagram, we have 9. Or if you're just sitting here going, you've lost me, that's okay. Hang in here.
Yeah.
We're just saying that there are 9 versions minimum of what perfect can look like. And this is why we're talking about it, so that you can sit there and go, well, shit. Well, shit. So this is something I found that freed me, was the fact that when I read that there were these 9 versions of seeing life, minimum, way more than that, but it allowed me to sit back and go, oh my goodness, I need to be far more open to everything that I'm experiencing and other people are experiencing, because we might still be at the same concert or in line at the same bank, and we're all seeing the situation differently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. I do love talking about the idea of perfection. So I'm really glad that you included it in this month's show.
Good. He brought up one really good point, too, that I want to add to today's show, and that had to do with that, let's word it this way. Do you know a person who has a version of perfect for things, where you are now taking on their version of perfect to people please them, or to avoid their wrath, or to keep your job, or to keep your relationship, or to keep your friendship, or your friend group, or whatever it is? And I thought that was worthy of bringing up today, because some of them are going to sit there and go, this isn't me. I don't have perfection issues. But you may not, but you may be around somebody else who really does, and you're absorbing their version, and it runs like a tape in the back of your mind all the time.
When have you censored swearing?
Oh, okay. And it runs in the back of your mind all the bloody time.
Okay.
You were expecting me to say all the fucking time.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a good question we want you to ask yourself, because I know for a fact I have had clients whose partners have died, and they have called because they still need to know their dead partner's version of perfect for something that is coming in the future, and they don't know how to approach it or how to deal with it because they need to know their their dead husband's version of this. And that's why I'm saying it is so important to know, because you might be divorced. You might have had a boyfriend and broke up with them, or whoever your person was that had this version of perfect around. It might be leaving or on their way out or gone. And are you still in it? And you might think, no, it's not my character. But in fact, it has become that to default.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Okay. All right. Well, then that's it for today. That's it for the law of perfection.
Beautiful. 2 more, guys.